Peggy works hard and values her trains above anything else. She believes that without them, she would serve no purpose. Peggy is the most trusted engine on the railway and tries not to let anyone down. One evening, she was on her way from the harbour. Lyndon had been taking a late train down the causeway route, so she had no choice but to go the long way home. Everything was quiet, and she was enjoying the nice moonlit run. However, at the crossing there was trouble. A van had suddenly broke down, and the driver could not get it to move. The signalman was unaware, and suddenly Peggy's chuffing sound echoed around the countryside. With no choice, the driver ran for dear life as she approached. "Help me!" cried the van. Her driver applied the brakes, but she was too close. The poor van lay helplessly on its side, while Peggy remained shocked at what had happened. Her driver informed the signalman at once, and he contacted Baron Starkey. Luckily, Gunther's fare was still lit, so he made his way to the crash scene to bring Peggy back to the yards. A policeman had arrived at the scene and was asking both drivers questions about the accident. "Oh, am I glad to see you, Gunther," sobbed Peggy. Baron Starkey had arranged for a workman to check her out for damage. "What about my trains?" she asked with concern.
"No work for you today, Peggy," he replied. "Hopefully, you will be in good working order tomorrow."
Poor Peggy was devastated. For the first time, she was letting everyone down. However, there was trouble. The van that Peggy hit was carrying the morning newspapers, which meant that many shops didn't get their order, and there were none for the paper boys to deliver. The locals were furious. They loved to keep up with the daily news. The next morning, Peggy was ready for work. She couldn't wait to see the miller and apologise for letting him down yesterday. As the firelighter lit the engine's fires, he looked at Peggy and quietly sniggered. He had never done so before, which was quite strange. When it was her turn, he revealed what was so amusing.
"You're lucky that engines don't read newspapers," he hinted.
"Why?" she asked in concern.
"Well, let's just say that you're on the front page," he said.
Peggy was intrigued to know why, but the firelighter said no more and entered her cab.
"It's probably regarding that accident. Driver said you made lots of people angry yesterday,"
said James Clifford. Lyndon also made a remark.
"True, never come between someone and the newspaper," he teased.
Peggy was horrified. She had always been a respected engine, and now felt like public enemy #1. She couldn't help but wonder what the newspaper said about her. As the passengers arrived at the station, she felt that they were staring at her, talking, laughing, and making fun. When her driver arrived, she wanted to ask what the newspaper said, but was afraid. She was glad to enter the countryside. There were no people to talk about her. It felt like escaping the harsh judgments of those she angered. Eventually, she reached the watermill. She felt nervous as the miller loaded the van. Harry hasn't even said hello, she panicked. Once the sacks of flour were loaded, the miller did speak to her.
Are you okay, Peggy? I read this morning's paper, and it said you were in an accident.
Peggy was surprised. It was not the response that she expected. Aren't you angry with me? Everyone else is. Because of me, no one got the morning newspapers, she gasped in shock. The miller sighed gently.
No one is angry with you, Peggy. We were worried about you, he revealed. What happened yesterday was an accident. And do not forget, today's news becomes tomorrow's chip paper. A new story will take the headlines.
Peggy felt much better now and happily departed. Upon arriving at the harbour, everyone asked how she was. Even the harbour master came to see her. Though there was one thing still playing on her mind. The next morning, she confronted the firelighter. Why did you make me believe that horrible things were being said about me in the newspaper? She asked.
Oh, I was only teasing. Sorry if I upset you, he grovelled.
Well, you did, scolded Peggy. Some jokes aren't funny, especially if they cause worry or distress. James Clifford joined the conversation.
I'm sorry too. When I said people were angry, I kinda exaggerated. Drivers said they were bemused to miss the morning's news. But there were no hard feelings towards you, he explained. Besides, added the firelighter, the council's latest plans have stolen the previous headlines. Your story is most likely forgotten.
Peggy smiled. Harry was right. Yesterday's news is now today's chip paper. Peggy was correct. No one mentioned the accident again. A few days later, she received a surprise. The van was now repaired and waiting at the crossing. Passing by, she blew her whistle, while it tooted its horn in return.